What's up, guys? Today we're doing a best shot doubles at the Silver Creek front nine. This is Drew Squared with Drew Hoffman and Andrew Klovakuski. Next up, we have Gold Team with Ian Siebold and Eric Jansen. Hole 1 is a straight par 3 at 184 feet, and you want to aim under the tree that you will see from this first throw by Drew Hoffman, and he puts it about 10 feet away. Andrew throws his V-Rock a little short right. Next up, we have Eric Jansen, throws one pretty good, goes a little high, a little left of the basket. Next, we have Ian Siebold throwing his zone, and it lands near the basket, but rolls away at the end. Gold Team will take Ian's shot, and it goes off the tree. Eric will throw next, and just off the basket. Drew Squared took Drew's shot, and easy will tap in, and then Ian will tap in theirs. Hole 2 is a par 3 at 205 feet. It's a nice straight shot, and you just try to throw it at the basket with no obstacles in the way. First up will be Drew throwing his dart, and leaves it a little short left, and will be a tester. Next up, Andrew throwing his V-Rock, and he does the same thing, just a little farther away. Next up for the Gold Team, we have Ian throwing his METEOR, and it does not flip over and just goes out of bounds. So we'll see how Eric can recover from this. He's throwing his Gazelle, turns it over this time too much, and lands in the bushes. Gold Team decided to take Eric's shot since Ian's went OB. So it'll be about circle 2 putt, just under the basket. And Eric throwing his AVR way over the basket. Drew Squared took Drew's shot. Andrew is short left and goes past the basket. Drew with his P2, just short, hit the front of the basket. And both teams tap in, going into hole 3. Hole 3 is a par 3 at 184 feet. It plays a lot longer with the obstacles. First up, Andrew throws his NUKE SS and flexes a little bit and hits the last big tree. Drew tries to go over the top with his destroyer, and it's short, but it gets through. For the Gold Team, Ian is throwing his NUKE OS on a flex sidearm and lands just in front of the last obstacle. Eric throwing a big hyzer with his criminal. Eric will be taking his shot and throwing a flex GATOR, whereas Ian will take his shot with a zone on a little hyzer. Drew Squared will take Andrew's shot with Drew throwing a Annie with his Stingray, and Andrew throwing a hyzer flick with his Ghost. Both teams should have easy putts for par. Eric puts his in, and Drew puts his in. Hole 4 is a par 3 at about 220 feet, which takes a flex backhand most likely. Andrew first up for Drew Squared, throwing his NUKE SS, and just throws it short left and hyzers out. Drew will be throwing his Leopard 3, puts it on a nice flex line, lets the wind take it for a great shot. First up for Gold Team, we have Eric with his Gazelle, throws it short and goes into the ground. Ian will take his Undertaker on a nice flex line and hits the trees, but he gets a nice little roll. Gold Team takes Ian's shot. He's using his zone. It's in a little hyzer and hits a tree early. Eric throwing his gator, same kind of shot. Hits both trees. Drew will be throwing a little flex Annie with his rock and throws it a little short. Andrew takes his ghost on a hyzer and puts it right next to the basket. Eric from circle 2 with his gator right off the front of the cage. Ian with his Luna, and he puts it just short. And both teams will tap in. Hole 5 is a 426-foot par 3 on a nice straight hyzer, backhand or forehand. First up for Drew Squared, sitting at -1, we have Andrew throwing his NUKE SS and hits the big tree but falls to the bottom. Drew throwing his Destroyer, and he turns it over and it just cuts short. Next up for Gold Team, we have Ian throwing his Undertaker. Throws it early release into the tree. Next up, Eric throws his Criminal. Throws it out, but it hyzers into the tree. Gold Team takes Ian's shot. Ian with his zone. Throws it short left. Eric with his gator. Throws it high. Hits the tree. Going from Andrew's spot, Drew throws it a little Annie putt right short of the basket, and Andrew tries to throw it in, and also just short but goes long. From under the tree, Eric misses the par putt. Ian with his Luna goes in, saves par. Drew taps in for par. Hole 4 is a 300-foot par 4 straight uphill. Drew will be first up, throws it high up, and ends up in the tree. Andrew throwing his NUKE SS, going for a little flex shot, flexes a little bit, and ends up on the right side of the fairway. For Gold Team, Eric Jansen will be trying to throw a flex forehand with his Criminal, and it just doesn't flex out enough and hits the tree. And then Ian will take his Heat, throws it on a nice little hyzer flip, and it flips to the right side. Going from Andrew's spot, Drew with a nice rock X3, just short. And then Andrew takes his V-Rock and lands right next to the basket. Eric throwing an upshot with his gator. And Ian with his Buzz tries to go in, but goes past the basket. Both teams will tap in their birdies. Hole 7 is a 275-foot dog leg right par 3 with the cliff on the side. Drew will be throwing his dart on a turnover and hits a tree and kicks right. Andrew throwing his Spectra on a sidearm, puts it within circle 1. Ian throws his NUKE and goes off the first tree. Eric will be taking his Gazelle, a little bit of a hyzer, and ends up on the side. Gold Team will be taking Eric's shot, and he goes for a flick, but it goes understable to the left. Ian tries a tomahawk and goes about the same exact spot, both on the side of the hill. Eric throws his down and gets a terrible roll. Ian will be throwing his Luna, decides to do a turbo putt, lands next to the tree. This is the same shot, just from a different angle. For 2, Andrew just misses. And then Drew with his P2 gets the birdie. Ian will tap in his par. Hole 8 is a 202-foot par 3, straight uphill through a tunnel. Leading off for Drew squared. Drew throws his TL straight up. And we'll have a little tester from circle 2. Throwing his NUKE SS right in the middle as well for Andrew. Eric throws his Gazelle. And it lands just in the middle of the fairway, but a little short. And Ian goes early left from Eric's shot. Eric throwing his GATOR. Goes up over the hill and lands in circle 1. Ian trying to land on the wood chips as well with his zone. And just short. From Drew's shot, Drew has a jump putt and it just goes short. Andrew's going to have to save him. And he does, putting it right on the wood chips. A couple tap-ins for par for both teams. For the final hole, the front 9, we have hole 9, which is a par 4, 327 feet, with a Mando preventing the large Anheuser route. Drew leading off with the Leopard 3 and just misses the Mando. Andrew with the NUKE SS puts it right down the pipe with a little flex. That'll be a great spot. Eric throwing his Criminal on a flick and puts it right in the middle of the fairway, making the Mando. Ian takes his heat and goes for a roller, but he misses the Mando. From Eric's spot with the GATOR, puts it within the circle. Ian will try to run it. And just goes past it. For the second shot, Andrew throws a SPECTRA and throws it short into the ground. Drew tries to put it inside the circle. And he does. For the birdie, just right. Ian trying to get the birdie as well. And just right as well. And goes in for the birdie for Andrew. Save par. Eric makes it. Through the first 9, Drew squared is up at -4 and gold team at even. See you back here for the back 9 of this best shot doubles.